I really hope to see one day, like, everyday Jews, Muslims, and Christians kind of, all right, we are sharing the same space. Our kids are bound to live the same future. And what I don't see is things done spontaneously, sincerely between communities. I think what it also has to do with the way religions compete, who's going to get the greatest number of faithfuls, and who's going to be more relevant, and who's going to get the favors of the state. But this is playing helping in divide and conquer. I'm extremely critical on the way Muslim, Christian, Jewish organizations have approached the interreligious dialogue, because it is always politicized, and it is not sincerely to kind of, as you said, establish a solution-based dialogue and to say, okay, all right, we know where we disagree. We got that. All right. Okay. Now, what do we have in common that requires us to kind of get involved together? We don't come to this world racist. We learn it from somewhere, and oftentimes from our own parents. When I was in primary school in the 6th arrondissement, which is a pretty, white Catholic, neighborhood, very conservative. I remember my first week. I had come back from Tunisia. I was born in Paris, but I spent 4 years in Tunisia in primary school. And when I came back, within a week, I was told Salah Arab. And we were like 9 years old. Where did he learn that from, if not his parents? And he said it again, the second time. But the third time I beat him up. Because there was no adult in the room to intervene, because I complained about it. It was dismissed. And almost I was told, yeah, don't worry about it. Yeah, but I was deeply hurt. I came back happy about, seeing my country and going back to school in France. And I missed Paris. And I'm welcome with you filthy Arab. So I took the matter into my own hands, but adults failed, to prevent it from me beating this kid up. Then when that priest speaks about the youngster saying, I'm going to kill that SOB, I don't want to be a demagogue and say that, his pain is illegitimate. I'm not going to say it's the right thing to do for him to kill that person in retaliation, that the cycle of violence should perpetuate itself. But I myself, when I heard the woman was beheaded in a church, I still remember it being kind of, what just happened? Yeah. And the problem is that kids learn this racism at home, and there is nothing outside to kind of help them, dismantle those ideas, because somehow they are either encouraged or they perpetuate them because they see other people adopting the same posture. And because we don't mix in the same spaces, those ideas become firm beliefs. So if it comes to the youth, we are segregated from the early age in France. We need to have more mixed spaces and more spaces where we interact with each other. I have the story of this friend who one day, Muslims pray 5 times a day, and sometimes you're outside and it's time to pray. And he's same thing, we kind of met, and he ended up speaking of my childhood neighborhood. He's like, what, Yasser, one day I was stuck in Montparnasse, and prayer time was about to the next prayer was about to ring, and I had nowhere to pray. So I went to a church, which is on the Boulevard Montparnasse, and he prayed there. Okay, sure. So, okay, do you want to be quiet? No, don't worry. They really tried to make him feel comfortable. They gave him a corner in the church, made his prayer, they shook hands, and thank you, goodbye. And these things kind of give you hope. You're like, see, it's, for him to ask a church was maybe required tremendous efforts. Maybe he was also with his preconceived ideas about Catholics, and the church was like, no problem, just go pray over there. There's no statue there, because statues are prohibited in Islam, etc. They gave him a corner, he prayed and left. So I think that there is a lot of hype in France about this so-called vivre ensemble, living together, but it's more about, doing things together, raising our kids. It's not because you raise your kid next to mine that your kid's going to adopt my beliefs. But your kid is going to grow up knowing exactly what his neighbor is about, and to kind of have a less stressful life, because he will have less people to worry and to fear.